Hi, I'm Dan Allen. Welcome to my not-so-secret laboratory, where we're going to be talking today about Star Wars: The Phantom Menace and how to fix it. If you missed my previous seminar, the Magic Moments Method, I talk about a way for plotting stories where you focus more on the emotional journey than you do on the actual events. And then the events you design as you go along to get you to these strong emotional moments that readers and viewers really care about. I was just watching the Star Wars: The Phantom Menace with my son who wanted to watch it. And about midway through, he was clearly disappointed in what he was seeing. And I said, you know, what's wrong with this movie? He said, I don't know. I said, is there a theme? I said, I don't know. So at the end, I asked him, I said, where was the crisis moment in that movie? And he couldn't point to one, which means there was no theme in the story. I thought, oh, gosh, that's something we talked about in the seminar. Let's see if we can fix it. So here we're going to fix Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. Here's the pitch for Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. If you haven't seen it, you can still enjoy the presentation. Basically, two Jedi go to try to stop an invasion of a world. They meet some animated locals. They're detoured to a desert planet with the young queen from the other world. They discover a child that's strong in the Force, and together they go back and rally the goofy locals to throw off the invasion. Qui Gon dies, but Anakin is on his way to becoming a great Jedi. So this is the pitch, the one-liner sort of for the movie. It's filled with action. It was nominated for some Academy Awards. All of them were for special effects and sound. It builds on the Star Wars space opera foundation. It expounds on backstory we all want to know more about, and it targets a new generation of future Star Wars fans with young characters. So what's not to like about this? Well, this was I think very few movies have gotten as much wrath from fans as this one. It was an experiment to see what could be done, both within the Star Wars genre and with animation. And there were some things that we learned and some things that were clearly avoidable mistakes, and we're going to talk about both of those. One of the most important things about this film is that we weren't working with a low budget here. So they have some big name actors and actresses that were in this film, all of which delivered probably the most underwhelming performances of their lives, and a lot of that was due to the directing. So we're gonna step aside from the directing, say what could have been fixed in this story aside from the directing to make it better. So we're going to focus on the screenplay. But the fan reactions were sort of some of the things I've listed here. Wrath in particular at Jar Jar Binks as being very annoying. Anakin's lines were really cringeworthy. It was very visually beautiful, but totally emotionally hollow. And so it was just a feast for the eyes, but not for the heart. Where did it go wrong? Let's find out. So we talked about in the Magic Moments Method seminar I gave recently about what a story foundation is based on. It requires at least three things. There can be more. We have a setting, some characters or a character, and a theme. There are things that we want from each of these pillars of our story. The one in particular that Star Wars really lacked was theme. The setting was fantastic. It's the Star Wars universe. You can't go wrong there. In terms of the characters, there were some redeemable attributes from the two lead Jedis, but the secondary characters were really where we felt. We had personality where we didn't want it and none where we needed it. So those were some areas to improve, but let's focus in for the rest of this presentation on the theme. And the way that you can tell that there was no theme in this is that there was no crisis moment where someone made a decision that resolved an internal conflict that led to them changing and then changing the world around them. There was a moment where young Anakin had to decide whether to leave his mother or not, but that didn't resolve the conflict of the story. So it wasn't a true crisis moment from the traditional standpoint. So what is a theme? Oh yeah, we talked about it in high school, but I can't remember. For me, a theme is a conflict between two conflicting values. But a strong theme is where the reader or the viewer shares both of those values so that that person doesn't know which side of the theme is going to win or which side is right. And that creates conflict within us. So when values we share are in conflict, a story is heart-tugging and compelling. So we don't want to just have it be good versus evil. We want to have it be achievement versus sacrifice. Two things that we want together, and that creates a conflict that invests us. So going in now, let's talk about the theme, and the main character sort of faces the theme question. So who's the main character? There's your problem. We don't have a main character, where if we had started this movie with a theme, we would have picked a character that could have chosen between the two values of the theme, but because we didn't, we're stuck with a storyline that doesn't really have a lead main character. And so viewers don't get invested in the storyline as strongly as if they were following someone that they could identify with. So in the first scenes of the movie, we see that there are some goofy goons that are bested by Jedi. We show off some special effects, so there's a promise to the reader that there will be great visuals in the movie. They deliver on that. Do we care about what's going on? Not especially. And that's because the characters themselves are not emotionally invested in what they're doing. The villains are weak, they're not really identifiable, and they're not really the hero of their own story. They're doing something dastardly and they know it. And the Jedi end up coming out looking kind of powerful, but the overall impression is this a comedy? Like, is this a B-rate film in the costumes? And one of the things that they experimented with in this film, and that really I think was a strong takeaway from the Star Wars films in general, is that if you want to have a strong emotional connection to your viewers, you need to have human characters. It's a total prejudicial bias towards biology. We resonate more strongly with human-looking characters, and the more human they are, the better. The one exception is that they're completely adorable. We'll take something that looks like a puppy or something like that, like a baby Yoda or Chewbacca or something like that. But this is another one of the takeaways from the experiment of Star Wars. The underlying flaw with the opening scenes is that nobody's making a decision that's based on a strong theme. So let's go back and try and put a theme into the story. We're going to start with Qui Gon Jinn. His mantra is follow the living force. Pay attention to the living force. What does he want? He wants to restore balance to the force. What does that look like? We don't know. It's not explored in the film. And we don't know what he needs because he doesn't really face a crisis moment in the story. Do we care? No, because we're not shown what the effects of imbalance in the force are. So it's tell instead of show. And because of that, Qui-Gon has no theme. Or no strong theme. He has several minor themes. So Qui-Gon 2.0, we're going to recreate Qui-Gon Jinn. We're going to give him a theme. He has two values. And his first value is to carry the cause of following the living force. Qui-Gon thinks that Jedis should follow the force, and the force should tell them what to do, not a council. So he's a rogue, which we love. And his decision will be, is he going to be the champion of a cause, or is he going to die for this cause and let the cause move on without him? It's a pivotal decision, and it's going to be heart-wrenching. What does he want? He wants to restore balance to the Force, but that can only be done by following the Force. He feels like the Jedi Council is too embroiled in politics, so he's going to do things on his own. What he needs is to not be afraid to let his part in the journey end. He's going to allow himself to be killed, much like Obi Wan does later in the Star Wars series in Episode 4. And that allows him then to embrace his ghost, right? His Force ghost. So he will decide that he doesn't have to carry the torch to the end. That'll be his moment. And why would we care? Because in scene 1, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan will defeat some villains arising out of an imbalance in the Force. They're going to sense the presence of the dark side. And they learn of a plot to take over the planet of Naboo. The Council says, hey, leave it to the politicians, it's out of our hands. But Qui-Gon decides to take matters into his own hands. Yay, Qui-Gon. We like him for that. That's his save the cat moment. So he's a strong character. But in the end, his defiance will cost his life, although it furthers the cause. So he is a tragic character, but a very compelling one. Let's talk about Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's mantra is, yes, master. Right? What does he want? Well, he wants to achieve the rank of Jedi Knight. What does he need? We don't know, because he also does not face a crisis moment. Do we care? What difference does it make if Obi-Wan's a full Jedi Knight or not? We don't know. It doesn't really affect anyone or anything that we care about. So let's go ahead and reinvent Obi-Wan and give him a theme. So Obi-Wan 2.0 is focusing on this question of deference versus confidence. And we're going to set this up in a really clever way. He wants to follow his master in the council because he wants to become a Jedi Knight. He knows he has potential, and he's trying to achieve his potential. What does he need? He needs to realize that he's actually more powerful than his master. He needs to take the lead in fights, and he needs to embrace Qui-Gon's philosophy of following the living force rather than following just the Jedi Council. So why do we care? Well, in the first scene, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are going to be trapped. But Obi-Wan has this force jump that he thinks he can propel himself all the way across this distance with the force, and Qui-Gon says, don't try it. He does it. He's able to save his master as a result of that. Sorry, master, I took that risk, right? But immediately we love him because he's a risk taker and he's powerful. We want him to step up to his potential. And this hints that in the future, if the fight is left to Qui-Gon, they're going to lose. So we want to also set him up to have this different value system because we want him and Qui Gon not to agree about what to do in different situations. We want internal conflict because that invests the viewers. So now Obi-Wan has a cause. Now here we've depicted, you know, Nemo's dad over here. No, you can't, right? So at some point there's going to be a crisis moment where Qui-Gon's going to have to decide whether to trust Obi-Wan to their defense or not. Let's talk about Queen Amidala. Her mantra is, I don't do voice inflection, as you know if you've seen the movie. What does she want? She wants the Trade Federation to leave and stop blockading her planet. What does she need? She needs the Trade Federation to stop blockading her planet. Do we care? Yeah, that's not very fair. There shouldn't be a blockade. But do we care about her? Why? We don't, right? There's nothing that helps us identify with her and see inside herself and her life. So we're going to reinvent Queen Amidala in a big way. Let's think about what we've got to work with. As a director, you've got Natalie Portman and Keira Knightley. And you're going to give one of them like no speaking roles? Really? You're going to do this, right? Come on, right? Give me a break. Also, you've got Anakin, who's clearly too young and there's no chemistry between them. He's too young to play a convincing, morally conflicted character. Although Anakin does very well with the script he's been given. A lot of his lines are sort of cringeworthy. That's screenplay. That's just bad dialogue. But if he's not old enough to have a really morally conflicted theme, then all you can give him is like some of these middle grade coming of age type themes. And they just feel really trite against the setting. They don't really ring true. So that's why Anakin never faces a crisis moment. Oh my gosh, the ship's on autopilot. What am I going to do? Oh my gosh, now it's not anymore. It's working. Oops, I accidentally destroyed the Death Star or their battle cruiser thing, right? I mean, so he's like an accidental hero. That's not compelling, right? So Amidala, we're going to make a little bit older. We're going to make her 16 so that she can really be feisty and in the grip of teenage angst. And Anakin will be a fiery 14, someone who's old enough to maybe stand up to their dad, right? So Padme is going to have a twin sister. And the deal is Padme was born first and her sister was born second. So Padme is legally the queen, but she uses her sister as a stunt double to protect her own life. Her sister then develops a lot of strength out of that. And Padme ends up becoming the weaker of the two. And her parents realize this and they encourage this little sister to continue playing this queen role. So what Padme wants is to protect herself and do the best thing for Naboo. And right now that is let her brave little sister continue playing the queen. What does she need? She needs to take personal risks to save her people. And she needs to stand up to her sister. And now, can you imagine the sister infighting between Keira Knightley and Natalie Portman? How powerful those scenes would be? Because there's a fight now and Natalie has to stand up for herself. And we know she can do that. So the sister's going to prepare for negotiation. Padme tells her what to do, and Keira does whatever she wants, right? And like she wants to work with the senator or something like that. So now Padme's in a situation where the only way she can get what she wants is to stand up to her sister. And now we've got a really great theme there. Who wouldn't want to watch that movie? All right, now we're going to reinvent Jar Jar in a big way. We're going to basically replace Jar Jar with Aquaman. How's that? He's this outcast bruiser type, okay? And he values independence, but what he needs is to face the past. And here's what we're going to set up. His ex is involved with this smuggler syndicate called the Gungans. Now, Gungans are exiles from Naboo, and as a result, they had to develop a network, and they became smugglers, and they're very powerful. But they're the only ones that are close enough and have enough interest in the planet Naboo, it was their original homeworld, to maybe come and save it because the Senate's being too slow. So Jar Jar is going to set up, and he's going to actually save the Jedi with his fists or whatever, somehow his tank or some big gun or something like that. And so then they realize that he has connections with the Gungans, and they're going to try and get him to go back. But if he goes back, he's going to have to face Shmee. Shmee Skywalker is a pilot, a really good pilot for the Gungans. Now that's good because they always talk about Anakin Skywalker as being a good pilot, but where does that come from, right? So in this case, his mother is going to be a great pilot. And there was a falling out between them. And actually, if you want to keep this sort of the chosen one, mysterious child thing going, what if she got pregnant with Anakin, but he wasn't involved? And that led to their breakup. Okay, so now we've got this broken family, which is exactly what Steven Spielberg would do. He would turn this into a family story if Steven Spielberg had directed this. So basically what we've got now is this bruiser character who provides a lot of comic relief, just like Gimli did in Lord of the Rings. He's also hunky. and he's lonely. So you want him to get together and get back with his ex. All right, so Shmee Skywalker, she's been reinvented now as a pilot for the Gungans, who are these sort of like renegades of the Outer Rim, right? She's this one-spitting character. She wants to save what she has, which is her son, who's quite wayward at this point as a 14-year-old. But what she needs to do is focus on saving what she lost. She has to reconcile with Jar Jar, and she has to let Anakin have a chance to do that as well. Shmee's a fantastic pilot. She can run the blockade with enough Gungans to stop the invasion. She really completes Jar Jar, and we're going to show that hole in her life that Jar Jar leaving created. And we're also going to show that family is people who choose to love each other, not who, and that Anakin and her and Jar Jar can be together, right? So imagine this. We finally get to Anakin, right? He's going to be a lost boy. His father abandoned him. His mother's a pilot. But the one thing that makes him unique is that he has a power he doesn't understand. What he wants is to protect his mother. He wants to understand why his father left. But he also wants to suppress his power because it's scary. And we're going to show it. Rather than people mumbling about how he must have Jedi reflexes, we're actually going to show him using the Force in a scary way. We're going to put him in a situation where Shmee and him are trapped, stranded on Tatooine, and they're about to be brutalized or something. And he uses the Force, this Darth Vader death grip thing. And he chokes the guy and saves his mom. But he doesn't want to ever have to do that again because he doesn't like that power. But we also see him using the Force to assemble robots or using Force lightning to like solder two wires, right? Ooh, isn't that scary? Right? But the most important thing is that he has to decide whether he's going to push away his demons or whether he's actually going to face his demons and try and use his power for good, trust others, and find the good in himself. So this is Anakin. He's a 14-year-old bad boy, kind of like he shows up later in the later prequels. But this now gives him a choice to make about whether he's going to use his power or not, and he can actually have a crisis moment now where he can decide to use his power to help others. So Darth Maul. How are we going to reinvent Darth Maul? He's not a compelling villain because we don't see why he's bad. In the original Star Wars movie, Darth Vader, he killed a bunch of people indiscriminately. You hated him. Right out of the bat, you knew he was a bad guy. We've lost that art of depicting bad versus good in some ways because we think it's all about the costumes. We think, oh, Darth Vader was scary because of his costumes. It wasn't his costume and his heavy breathing. It was the fact that he was ruthless. Did we show Darth Maul being ruthless? Did we show him doing that? No, we didn't. And furthermore, really compelling villains are ones who have a cause, ones who believe in their cause. So what Darth Maul really wants is really two things. He wants to serve his master, but at the same time, he realizes that Palpatine is evil, just pure evil. And so he has this conflict. I could serve my master, which betters my own power, or I could cultivate my own apprentice and overthrow my master. It's sort of the Sith way, right? He'll fail in both because he's a tragic villain. But we care because Darth Maul is going to discover Anakin first. And now we're invested because we know that he can corrupt Anakin. He's going to give him some pointers or some tips on channeling his anger, and that's going to allow him to get out of the situation and save his mother, right? He's trying to create a Sith system where the Sith work to create a better universe by working in the shadow, working from the shadows. The Jedi work overtly, and as a result, people can defeat them or ally against them or whatever, control them. So now we have this terrifying character who insidiously can corrupt Anakin with what's on the surface a pretty plausible reason for existing. We don't need the makeup anymore. This guy is just terrifying. He's a total creep, although he kind of has a good motivation. So these people are and it's the same reason that in the Harry Potter series, Voldemort, he's a decent villain, but the one before Voldemort, the one that they're much more scary, right? So crafting waypoints. So now that we have themes, what we're going to do is we're going to create these emotional waypoints. That's what the magic moments are. The magic moments are these moments where the readers just feel something, or the viewers feel something really strongly. So rather than writing a series of events and hoping these magic moments will just magically happen or appear out of nowhere, essentially we're just making them up as we go along and pantsing them. We're going to actually plot out the emotions first, and then we're going to make up events that get us between these emotions. So it's turning storytelling inside out. And it turns out it's way, way easier. Because when you create a series of events, going back and trying to plot emotion into them may not be an easy thing to do, and events can't be swapped around, but emotions can. And you can just sort of, you end up making up the events ends up becoming really, really easy. So your plotting is easier, and it naturally includes the emotions. There's a lot of the things we talk about in the previous seminar. You can go back and watch that one. It's on the same link. So it's on the same website, author.dan.allen/writers. But basically what we're going for are waypoints that show the consequences of a choice between the two, the thing they want or the thing they need, the two theme values. And we want to resolve a really strong emotion as we go along. So here's some of the potential emotional waypoints in Qui Gon Jinn's arc. Obviously, he's going to experience frustration that the Jedi Council, ignoring his evidence that the dark side is influencing events, and that the Jedi Council is controlled by politicians, it's institutionalized. And this cements his philosophy that the Jedi should follow the Force, not leaders, right? So he has to take up the cause. So that points to his theme there. So he's going to experience determination. She's going to show determination to stop Sith interference at Naboo, right? We're going to see that determination because he's going to put himself at risk. He's going to experience self-doubt when he realizes that Obi Wan is a better fighter, right? And how are we going to show that? You know, as a film director, it's easy. You can show in close-ups with his eyes and the music and the mood. You can really capture this dejected appearance. You know, if it's a book, then we go into internal dialogue. Am I good enough, right? We're going to give him a chance to experience true fear, having put himself in a situation where he's both outside the help of the Jedi Council and where the person who's trusting him the most, Obi-Wan, might get killed, right? And then they'll Jar Jar will save him, maybe, right? He's going to experience shock at the ruthless, murderous power of the dark side. We're going to show it, not just hint at it. We're going to show it, and that is when the Sith intimidates the Gungans, and to try to keep them from joining. He's going to experience elation at having possibly found the chosen one, right? Then he's going to experience some righteous wrath at Darth Maul for trying to corrupt Anakin. In the end, he's going to experience resignation, realizing that he's not strong enough. So the way I'm going to set that up is there will be an ambush, and Obi-Wan's lightsaber will be destroyed. And now there's a situation where Qui-Gon has to defend Obi-Wan from Darth Maul. And now in this situation, Obi-Wan is going to have to ask for the lightsaber. And so Qui-Gon can give it up. Qui-Gon can allow himself to be killed, become the Force ghost, and Obi-Wan can then defeat Darth Maul. So really just a heart-wrenching moment when he has to make that decision to give up his life. And then Obi-Wan really has no one else to defend him, right? Super powerful scene. On the flip side, for Obi-Wan's arc, he's going to have desperation, pride, surprise, and some chagrin at doing his Force jump that his master didn't think was possible to, get to the platform and open the thing with the goober, right? He's going to experience shock at Qui-Gon defying the Council. He's going to have disappointment at the Council denying him for the Jedi trials, and he's going to show determination to try and prove his worth by stopping the Sith. If he can do this thing, the Council will no longer ignore him, right? He's going to have worry about whether he should follow Qui-Gon or defy him in favor of what the Council's saying. He's going to experience disgust at having to work with a slime ball like Jar Jar. He's going to have some humility. The first time he's going to run into Darth Maul, he's going to have to run away. He's going to have some hope at seeing Anakin's power. Anakin's going to use the Force to stop a speeder in midair, something that shouldn't be possible for someone at that age. He's going to have deep concern over Anakin's dark side, but an even deeper concern about his plight. He's going to have pain at having to ask his master to give up his own lightsaber, and at seeing Qui-Gon slain by Darth Maul. He's going to have vindication, of course, at Darth Maul's death, but wariness about the future and his oath to Qui-Gon to train Anakin. But, since Qui-Gon willingly gave up his life for Obi-Wan, that makes Obi-Wan's oath so much more compelling, right? He did it because he said, in his last breath, just train Anakin, right? So now we're in Padme's arc. We're going to have similar emotional waypoints. She's going to have fear of the looming invasion, frustration about not being able to be the queen in public because of the increasing danger. She's going to have anger at her sister's capitulation to the Trade Federation, or the fact that she's not listening to what she's telling her to do. She's got disappointment in herself for being weak. We're going to show it in these moments of repose. Anguish at her people's suffering. She's going to cradle some dying person, right? Pride at having escaped the trap and fleeing the Naboo with the Jedi, right? She's going to have angst at not being able to tell anyone who she really is, and this is going to come out in conversations between her and her sister, right? Freedom at being able to do things that she couldn't as the queen, which shows the flip side of the theme. anger in an argument with her sister about who's accusing her of being attracted to Anakin. Some attraction to Anakin's brash personality, courage, and power, all the things she wants for herself. Courage, and finally courage in her crisis moment to stand up and take her place as the true queen, leaving her sister to be seduced by Palpatine and Maul's lies. And so her sister's going to end up revealing the plan to save Naboo, and that's how Maul ends up tracking the Jedi. And so we're going to get some pain at having to imprison her own sister. That's a justice moment there, and hope for her planet and for Anakin. So what we've done now is we have gone through this Star Wars, the Phantom Menace, and we've talked about why it was bad. We've talked about how to make it better by adding a theme, and how to go with those themes to create emotional waypoints that we can then use to create events that will involve some nice, CG and some good special effects and things like that. So hope you guys enjoyed that. It was a little more practical example of using the method. I mean, everybody can go out and they can criticize movies. They can say, I didn't like this movie. This was a bad movie. It was a horrible movie. But who can do a better movie? And my contention is that anyone could do a better movie. And all they really need is these tools to create a strong theme and to create emotional waypoints. And anyone, you don't have to have a college degree. You don't even have to have a lot of experience. Anyone could go out and create a better movie or make a story better using the Magic Moments method. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Send me some comments if you guys are have any other questions or things you think I could tackle in an additional writer seminar. So thanks for your time, and we'll see you soon.